5 years. 5 years ago, I reviewed two models from Jack Mason, and to be blunt, I didn't think that much of them. And I kind of considered them fashion watches. But in that 5 years, Jack Mason has changed a lot, and this Hydrotimer diver has nothing in common with the watches I previously reviewed. Last year, they started promoting a new watch using the Miyota 97.5, the Stratotimer GMT. Now, when I saw that watch, it caught me off guard, as this was not a watch I associated with the brand. This year, they released the Hydrotimer, which is a dive version of the Stratotimer GMT, and it boasts 300 meters of water resistance, a 40 millimeter case with a Miyota 9039 movement, sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, and it's available currently in 4 different color schemes and comes with a choice of 2 different straps or bracelets. Pricing starts at $729 if you choose 2 rubber straps, or $799 if you go with one of the bracelets. Let's take a look at this new model and talk all about the new direction of this brand. Now, let me be clear here. I'm not saying this Hydrotimer is the best thing since sliced bread, or the best micro brand that's ever been made. I'm not one to do that or overhype something to that degree. But this is a much improved watch and a new direction for the brand. This Hydrotimer is much more in line with other micro brands like, say, Raven or RZE, Boulder, Christopher Ward, etc. So as I said, this model came after the GMT. The GMT watch that I remember seeing and thinking, that's a Jack Mason? Now, there are 4 different versions currently. This black and gilt dial that you see here. There's also a white dial with a white loomed bezel, and then probably the funkiest looking, which is a blue and yellow dial, and that has a loomed white bezel. It's kind of a unique look, and like I said, this one that I have here is probably the most traditional looking of all of them, but there is some really funky ones as well. The case design is kind of vintage Seiko Turtle, but what I would call maybe a soft cushion case, but with crown at 3 o'clock. Now, the crown I feel is the first thing I take issue with. It operates just fine, but I just find it small for this watch. This watch isn't that large at 40 by 47 millimeters, but this crown needs to be a little bit larger in my opinion. The top of the case is all satin brushed, while the sides and case bottom are all high polished. The case sides look good, just a little bit of curve to the lugs, and overall a familiar and attractive case design. The case, and I assume the bracelet as well, have a hard coating to reduce scratches, much like RZE, Traska, and other brands. I don't really see any major scratches or marks on the case or bracelet, but I also didn't wear this for what I consider a good amount of time to test it. I wore it off and on for about 2 to 3 weeks and for a 3-day weekend, and it still is looking pretty much like new. The bezel and bezel insert look good, though I would prefer it without the faux patina tan color, but I get that they were trying to match the gold of the hands and indices. The bezel is solid, it ratchets very smoothly, and no issue I can find, at least on this example. The double dome sapphire is a nice touch for the vintage acrylic look that so many brands are going for these days. And that's not a knock, by the way. Vintage has been in for quite a few years, and while it doesn't look appropriate on every watch, I think it works well here. Now, this is a no-date dial, and yes, it's also a no-date movement. So rejoice finally, a brand that did both, so we don't have to deal with the phantom date wheel and the 2-position crown. Now, I've seen some state that they don't care for this hour hand. I'll be honest, I don't love it, nor do I hate it, but I've seen worse out there. But things like that are very subjective. Another thing a few followers on social media brought up was the Jack Mason star logo, stating it was too small for this dial. Now, it probably is a little on the small side, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section if you think it should be bigger or if you think it is just fine as it is. The dial is pretty clean though, it's not overdone with text, and I do like the large applied indices. And this does have a decent amount of lume. Just take a look. I found it to last about 3 to 4 hours, and it seems to be pretty evenly applied, though I found the bezel fades quicker than the dial and hands. Like a lot of brands are doing these days, the Hydrotimer is available with a few different strap and bracelets. It comes with a black Tropic rubber as the default, and then you can pick either a second bracelet or strap option. This reminds me of Veyor watches that does the same thing. So here I have the 7-link Jubilee style bracelet, but there's also a standard 3-link, or you could choose another Tropic rubber, either in navy or white. It has quick release pins and a standard buckle with 2 keepers. And the keepers are where there's a little bit of surprise. For the second keeper, on the strap there is a little star logo round tab, and you use this to hold the second keeper in place. I'm not sure if I have seen this before, and it's a nice little detail that works pretty well at holding everything down. The 7-link bracelet is a little bit flashier than if you go with the 3-link bracelet route, as the center section is high polished, but I do like the look, and though I didn't see the 3-link in person, for me, this is the way to go. The clasp is nicely machined, and you get a quick adjustable clasp where the links can ratchet in and out of the clasp, giving you a little room to tighten or loosen up the fit of your watch. This one is a little different than others, as you don't have a button to push. Instead, the whole thing kind of pops out towards you, and then you can slide it where you want, and a little cutout on the attachment allows it to snap back into place. Now, this is not a dive extension though, and it won't function as one, even though this watch is rated to 300 meters, so keep that in mind. You may want to switch straps if you actually want to use this for diving. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I like this watch better on my 7.5-inch wrist with the bracelet or the rubber strap. I really like that keeper detail with the Tropic rubber, and of course it does lessen the weight on the wrist, but this does look pretty damn good with the 7-link bracelet, and it really drapes nicely against the wrist. This bracelet does have quick release pins as well, but take a tip from me. If you go to remove it and you feel the release bars are not moving inwards, don't force them. Move the bracelet around a bit, move the prongs up and down direction to get them unstuck. Otherwise, you can risk breaking them. Now, I didn't have an issue on this example, but I have on many on other similar watches recently. In my intro, I said a lot has changed in the last 5 years with Jack Mason, and that definitely is true. There is not much I don't like with this Hydrotimer, and really my only wish would be that there are a few more colors available, like black with a non-gilt dial, or maybe a blue with a blue bezel, or a popular color these days, an olive or army green, would look pretty killer on this watch. Let me know below what color you want to see. Hopefully Jack Mason is paying attention and will produce it in the coming months. I'm very impressed with how far Jack Mason has come and wonder what they have up their sleeve for 2024. It should be interesting to see, and I hope it gets even better. Now, as you know, these reviews take a while for me to complete, and with the dreaded algorithm, that means YouTube doesn't always recommend these videos. If you want to keep seeing these type of reviews, make sure you are subscribed, you have your notifications turned on, and make sure that you like this video, share it on social media, and leave a comment down below. Want to see what is in for review before it hits the channel and website? You could follow us on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Watch Report. This is Don Evans from Watch Report. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.